Today is going to be a little bit different than my average video because the brand that we are taking a look at today, I'm going to be honest, I don't know a ton about, and I did not do my research. I just think that they are super cool looking watches, and I had the opportunity to borrow one from my friend Anita over at Santurce Collection. Instead of doing a ton of research and trying to make this into a 30 or 40 hour, production, I just thought that I would share the watch with you. You can get some of my specs from the computer as we move along, because honestly, with this thing, it's not really about specs, it's about design. So today we are taking a look at the Alaunus by Martin Designs. And if you don't know Martin Designs, Martin was a graphic designer, or is a graphic designer from Slovakia that moved to Cork, Ireland. And the cool thing is that all of the names of the watches are based off of Celtic mythology. Again, something I don't know a ton about, but like the name Alaunus, I'm going to bounce back and forth to the website to get some of this information. This is what I meant by today is going to be a little different, but Alaunus is the sun god. He also has a watch called the Tyrannus, which is the god of thunder. He has a watch called the Ogmios, or the Ogmios, which is the god of eloquence. And there is the Catarix, which is the god of war. And it goes on and on. I just think that the designs that Martin does should be celebrated. It's not, Horology. They're not super expensive, but honestly, when you look at his designs, I'm going to get beat up for this, but they have kind of an FP Journe-esque vibe to them. At this price point, even being able to say that is a massive accomplishment. Martin releases all of his new designs on Kickstarter. I think these things are around $550, but if you get in on what I think they call the early bird special, these things can be picked up for like $350 or $360. On the one that we have in hand today, the Alaunus, and I believe several other of the models, Martin uses a Miyota 827S. What I think is absolutely genius about the way that Martin designs his watches is that he used the movement as a resource for his design instead of the opposite. Martin figured out with this particular Miyota movement that because of the 24-hour dial, he could potentially turn this watch into a regulator by eliminating the actual hour hand and allowing the 24-hour dial to take full duty. I will say that while it allows him to have some of the coolest designs, it does bring me to one of the two things about this watch that I would have to say is kind of a negative. First being the strap that it comes on. The strap that's not good. It feels a little bit like cardboard. And the other one would be legibility. And when I say legibility, I mean like if you were depending on this watch to tell you the time at a glance, you would be in trouble. The reason why that is if you see the large hand coming out of the center, that is going to be your minute hand. Your hour is the 24-hour subdial there on the left. So in order to read this watch, you must first decipher the hour. And by decipher, I mean with me, when it comes to 24-hour hands, I always end up finding myself counting on my fingers like a 5-year-old. But you would first have to figure out what the hour is and then bounce over to the minute hand to figure out what time it is. Typically, this being a regulator, and if you don't know what a regulator is that means that the minute, the hour, and the second hand are all separated. They all work completely independently of each other. And most of the time, if FP Journe or somebody was designing something like this, they would make the movement fit their design. And instead, what Martin did was take a relatively inexpensive Miyota movement and simply shift it. Martin figured out that if you simply just twisted the movement, he could position the subdials to work for his design. And that's why you'll see that the crown here has been shifted from the 3 o'clock to the 2 o'clock. Now, this watch here is on loan from Anita over at Santurce Collection. We were in a live. She heard me say something about this was a brand that I really wanted to get hands on with because I just think they have kind of exciting designs. Without saying anything, she packed it up and sent it to me. So Anita, thank you for the loan. The packaging, honestly, on par. If I was going to say anything about the quality is on par for the price. The only thing really negative that I would say is the strap. The strap feels, honestly horrible. Again, this is not Horology. You're not dropping $100,000 on a watch. Spec wise, I would say this thing is pretty standard at this price point. I'm going to have to read them off because, again, like I said, I'm unprepared, but 40 millimeter case, 46 millimeter lug to lug. Obviously, it's a steel case with a sapphire front, crystal, and a sapphire exhibition case back. It's got the Miyota 827S automatic movement, which has 42 hours of power reserve and only 5 atmospheres of water resistance. So this thing is definitely not meant for the pool. Let me take you over to the website and just show you a couple of the designs. Again, I'm not going to make this a long video. I just wanted to share with you guys the watch. I think the designs are super cool. And if you're on a budget and you want, in my opinion, a conversation starter, this would definitely be a place to look. I made a short when I first received this watch, and I think in that short, I made the statement that if you were to wear this thing to a watch meet, hands down, you are not getting out of that meet without having several conversations. And I can't really think of a ton of watches at this price point that I could say that about. So check out the Miyota. Honestly, this one is, if I could be saying that wrong, I might not be, but this one I think is super cool. This one is a version of a jump hour. If you look, the main hand has your minutes covered from 0 to 60. And then I'm assuming at 60, it snaps back. And if you look right here in this image, you'll see an 8. That's your jump hour. So that will snap into place per hour. And then, of course, we have the days of the week in the 6 o'clock subdial. These things are just, honestly, in my opinion, very cool watches. I mean, when you look at them, if this had a big name on it, if you were looking at something that said FP Journe or something like that, you would believe it. You would buy it. He's basically taken very moderate or inexpensive movements and materials and turned them into a really cool watch. Although this one right here, he does have a version with an automatic Swiss movement, and I believe that one is a lot more expensive. The quartz version is coming in at $453, and there we go. The Swiss automatic is coming in at $1,908. So Martin, if you want to send me the one with the Swiss movement, I'll be happy to wear that for you, man. I'll let you know how it works out. So if you made it through this video, thank you very much. I know I wasn't prepared. That is because the video I am currently working on is the new Hydro Conquest versus the old Hydro Conquest. I have the new one in on loan from my friend CJ, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to share Martin designs with you before I send this one back to Anita. So again, if you made it through the video, then thank you. I hope you will hit that like button, and I hope you will also consider subscribing. I'm James. This is Blue Collar Luxe, and I will see you in the next one.